Welcome to the Toronto premiere of Black Mother. My name is Khalik Allah. I'm one of the co-founders of MDFF. To begin, we'd like to acknowledge that tonight and today's event is taking place in the tributary of the Mississaugas and New Credit, and the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Huron-Wendat. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community. On behalf of TIFF, I'd like to thank our lead sponsor, Bell, and our major sponsors, RBC, L'Oreal Paris, and Visa, and the TIFF Cinematheque's public supporters, the Ontario Media Development Corporation, and the Canada Council for the Arts. As a charitable organization, we'd also like to thank our donors and members for making TIFF's year-round programming and educational and community outreach initiatives possible. So this is the last MDFF screening of the year, but we'll be back in the new year on January 17th. We're going to be hosting the Toronto premiere on Notes on an Appearance, and Ricky D'Ambrose is going to be flying up from New York to attend the screening. Also, in January, we wanted to mention that the American director James Gray will be receiving his first retrospective at the TIFF Cinematheque in January 2019. Gray will be here to introduce his film The Yards, as well as the carte blanche selection of William Wellman's Other Men's Women, and will join us for a conversation. But yeah, as for tonight's screening, back in 2015, MDFF screened Khalik Allah's first feature to a sold-out audience at the Royal, comprised of a series of portraits captured at the corner of 125th Street and Lexington Avenue in East Harlem. The film drew comparisons to Pedro Costa and established Allah as a bold new cinematic voice. Since then, he has collaborated with Beyonce on her powerful album film Lemonade, and he's published a book of photography entitled Souls Against the Concrete. Tonight's film, Black Mother, is a film shot on multiple formats ranging from Super 8 to HD. It's a deeply complex collage of contemporary Jamaica, employing a series of intimate testimonies to meditate on the history of colonialism, gender dynamics, and spirituality. This series is co-presented by CinemaScope. Today they published a new essay on Black Mother by Lydia Ogwang. In that essay she wrote, Black Mother presents a mode of movie image portraiture that feels singular in the context of contemporary film. It's a revelatory offering worth grappling with. Lydia is going to be here after the screening to join us for a Q&A with Khalik. But now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Khalik Allah.
Peace, yo, Toronto, what up? It's cold as fuck out here, man. Yo, Toronto, every time I come out here, I get mad love. So I'm just happy to be back. This film took me 3 years to make. This film is from the chest, you know what I mean? It's not a cerebral project, you know? So it's okay if you drift away. You don't gotta be stuck to every detail of this project. It's more introspective. So yeah, just let it take you where it takes you. But I'm higher than a motherfucker. Isn't the weed legal out here now? Yo, I stay flying with that shit. Anyway, regardless. But anyway, yo, I hope you have some questions afterwards. I'll be around for the Q&A. I want to thank Khalik. I want to thank, you know, TIFF for bringing me back through. Yo, much love, man. Thank you, brother. I won't say too much. We'll just have a discussion afterwards, all right? Bless. Peace.
My name is Lydia Ogwang. I am a member of the programming team here at TIFF Cinematheque, and it is my pleasure to welcome back to the stage Khalik Allah. Thank you for such a wonderful film, Khalik. It's very touching. Every single time I see it, I find something new. I'm wondering what the genesis was of this project for you. Is this something that you were curious about, or was it a project that was suggested to you? How did it come about?
It was many years in the making. I got that New York slang anyway, so I don't really need a mic now. Just But, you know, my mother's from Jamaica, you know what I'm saying? So I've been going to Jamaica since a little boy, you know? And I was filming in Jamaica since 14. I had a Hi8 camera that I was filming on the little cassette tapes. So, you know, after my last project, I was just looking for something else to start shooting. And I was like, yo, let me go back to Jamaica. And that's how it began. That was 2015. I didn't know it was going to be called Black Mother. I didn't know I was going to film a birth and none of that. So it was just starting out, just taking shots and then going from there.
We're going to need to share a mic with you guys. Perfect, thank you. I'm really interested in the way that you interact with people on stage, Khalik. You seem to be someone who, in your art, you're more interested in people than anything else, above anything else. I'm interested in particularly how this translates to your shots. The way that your shots are very kind of lyrical, they flow. And so I'm interested in what drives the composition of a shot for you, or what are you looking for when you're looking through your lens?
I like that you said that it's musical because, as you could tell, I didn't really use a lot of music in the film. You know what I mean? And, you know, I never seen a movie about Jamaica that wasn't about reggae. So
Sure.
I was trying to go beneath the surface and just portray a whole different perspective of the island. So we don't even mention Bob Marley in here one time, you know? But I love reggae music, you know what I'm saying? Understand, I just didn't want to include it in the film. But as far as the shots, I have a sensibility, you know what I'm saying, as an artist. You know, I started out first just taking pictures. So I'm just trying to frame things up, you know what I'm saying? I'm always trying to just take a shot of something, just, that's where my sensibilities lie as an artist. Like, how do I frame this? How's the light gonna be? So as I said, none of this was scripted. This whole film was freestyle. So it was more just starting with shooting first and then trying to see where things fit together. And all of the audio was recorded separately anyway. So, you know, I deal with details, like, you know what I'm saying, like just focusing on the shots, the composition, the person. I usually tell somebody, like, focus on something deep, focus on something profound that happened to you, whether it's traumatic or something beautiful, and just hold it in your mind, you know what I'm saying? Because I believe that translates through the person, you know what I'm saying, when you're taking their picture. Not like you're stealing souls or any bullshit like that, but there's a natural energy that comes across, you know what I'm saying? It's all light, you know what I'm saying? A photograph is a light graph, you know, a graph of light. So I'm focused on that, you know what I'm saying? Just intimacy, that's the whole thing. This film was the most personal project I ever did. And that's because after my last project, I could have went straight into the commercial dimension and just did a whole bunch of fake shit, you know what I mean? But I'm still beginning my career now, so this is my second film. I had to make sure it came from, you know, a serious place for me. Because later on, I will do some fake projects just for money, you know what I'm saying? For real, because you don't really get paid with projects like this, honestly.
Art house filmmaking doesn't pay. That's the takeaway. You spoke a little bit about the sound and the audio in the film, and I'm wondering about the sound design. You said that you tried to stay away from the reggae focus there. In your last film, you shot that in Harlem at 125th and Lexington, and has quite a different soundscape than where you were filming in Jamaica. I'm wondering if there were any things that translated and how you typically approach sound design for your films.
Well, usually I have the camera in my backpack, you know, because I work alone, especially in Jamaica. If you got a large crew, people are going to want some bread, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, just being a one-man crew coming through with a Bolex, it looks like an antique, you know what I'm saying? That's the 16mm camera, you know, so people want bread anyway, even if it's just me. But I do everything as far as shooting the audio, shooting video, and, yeah, like, that was the structure of the project. It was all done with the audio. That's how I found the rhythm of the film, you know, through the discussions. Especially once I decided to film a birth, I said, okay, I could partition this into a beginning, middle, and end in the form of 3 trimesters. You know, so the whole concept is that it progressively becomes deeper from one trimester to the next. Like the first trimester, we're talking about, you know, it's like setting things up, establishing like the religion, establishing, you know, talking about food, more
The
topical
history
things.
of the country, everything.
History, all of that, you know. But by the second trimester, now we're into like colorism, skin bleaching. We're into like, you know, the effects of colonialism, you know. And then by the third trimester, it's in that fully spiritual realm, you know what I'm saying, which I wanted to get to from the beginning, but I had to have some like exposition just to set it up before I could get to that level, you know. So yeah, this is a spiritual project. Ultimately, there's a lot of political ideas in it, and you know, of course, it's called Black Mother. I didn't feel like I had to step out of my lane to make it. Like, it's called Black Mother, but from a son's perspective. You know what I mean? You know, and as I said, it was a freestyle, so nothing was scripted or planned. And as you could tell, it's like 60-40 men to women speaking. You know what I mean? Had I knew I was going to go in that route from the get-go, it may have been the opposite. You know what I'm saying? 60-40 women to men. But either way, even if it was all men, I still would have named it Black Mother. But you didn't even ask me that, yo. I'm just...
You can just freestyle, that's fine. Yeah. That's why we brought you. We're going to open it up to the audience in just a second, but I'm really interested in the birth, as I'm sure a lot of folks are here. Was that an idea that you had from the outset, and how did you make that happen? Like, how did you gain access to that space, really?
Well, you know, shout out to my man Fourth Disciple. You know, he's a legendary Wu-Tang producer, and he did the score to this film. You know, we were in my studio in New York, and I was like, you know, I had already shot about 3/4 of the film already, and I said, yo, Fourth, there's this one scene that I want that I don't have yet that I want to shoot, but it's proven impossible to get. And he's like, yo, what is it? I'm like, I want to film a birth. He's like, ooh, you got to do that. You got to get that shot. So he hyped me up. You know, he hyped me up.
I love that he was like, yes.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
all about it.
He was all, as soon as he gave me that cosign, I was like, all right, I need that. That'll complete the puzzle piece. But the thing is, I was in touch with the JMA, the Jamaican Midwife Association. And, you know, I told them what I wanted to do, and they never wrote me back. They're like, yo, this guy's crazy. Like, he wants to film a birth? Like, yo, they never got back to me. So I had to find somebody on the ground level, you know, and, you know, the man who's negotiating the cost of sex with the sex worker early on in the film is actually his niece, named Ashika, who agreed to be in the film. You know, we agreed through over the phone, and I get to Jamaica, you know, we go and we do a checkup, you know, and I say to the doc, I'm like, yo, doc, how long is it gonna take for her to give birth? You know what I'm saying? Just so I know, film-wise, how to film it. And he was like, have you been exercising the passage? I said, what? He said, have you been exercising the passage? I said, yo, that's not my baby. Like, he thought I was the father, you know what I'm saying? But then when the baby came out looking mad white anyway. So they really thought it was mine, you know what I'm saying? They made me the godfather, you know what I'm saying, of the baby. But yeah, you know, it was one of those things too. Like, she had agreed over the phone, and then I got to Jamaica. We went to to a checkup. It was all cool for like the first week, and then after that, she changed her mind. She was like, "Yo, I don't want to be filmed anymore," and I was like, "Yo, what's the issue?" She's like, "I don't want my face in the movie, but you could film the baby being born. I just don't want my face in it." I say, yo, I can't have no anonymous vaginas just giving birth. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, women will attack me for that anyway, because I already knew I was going to be a mark, by different people. Just there were different risks I was taking, you know what I'm saying? But in the end, like, we just spoke about it for like 5 hours, honestly. And she was like, all right, cool. She really understood the vision, because she didn't know, she couldn't tell what the film was going to be.
Wow, that really speaks to it speaks to a lot of things. No, but I think that speaks to the power that you have in connecting with people, which you can clearly see in the film. I'm sure some of you have questions for Khalik. We do have mics, so just wait for a mic to come to you. I see a question right there.
Hi, thank you for your lovely film about Jamaica. I really love your work. One of the things that I like about your work are the compositions in terms of the shots and how they are longer shots of people and it's focused on your face, which we consume a lot of information really fast, and we consume things really fast. So it forces you to sit with that image, and I think within the context of Jamaica too, a lot of the times the visual optics of Jamaica are really happy, and they're tourist adjacent. So I really like this film because it disrupts that. So that was just like a compliment first. But my question is, what gaze were you trying to disrupt, or was there a gaze that you were trying to disrupt in making this film and thinking about your audience and what and who you were making this film for?
Great question. Thank you for the comment too. This is my second project, right? So it was difficult because this is the first time I had a budget. I had a production company behind me, that gave me money, to fund the project. And in the past, I never had that. So, also a lot of expectations because people liked the first film. So they were like, yo, what's the second one gonna look like? So I was navigating all of that mentally. So for me, it was just about keeping it real for me. You know what I mean? Like I had to cut through everything, cut through the expectations and the pressure, and even the time constraints. I had to just focus on the purpose of what I was striving to do. And that was just to keep it 100% real to my impression of Jamaica throughout the years. Because Jamaica, as a kid, it was a place like a monastery. I would just go and stay with my grandfather. I thought I was going on vacation, but I was in church for a week. I thought I was going to the beach, you know what I mean? But those times I would just sit at the foot of my grandpops and he would just give me all this wisdom and all these prayers. And that definitely had an impression. But then I would see the contrast in certain places where it was really poor, certain places in the city, people hustling, you know what I'm saying? Women hustling, And I said, yo, I want to depict all of this, 360, the positive, the negative, the neutral, everything, you know what I'm saying? I didn't want to just show the happy side, So this film, it's the sacred and the profane side by side. I didn't want to just keep it all beautiful, but I did want to come with the good news. I never seen God in a film in a positive sense. You know what I mean? The only time I see God in a film is like a horror movie. And that's in some demonic way, like The Exorcist or something. You know what I mean? So honestly, I made this during the election too. So I was like, damn, this is my power as a visual artist to say what I want to say. You know what I mean? And to come with the good news in this way. And I'm not religious. I grew up in the 5% nation, you know what I'm saying, which teaches that the black man is God. So the concept of a mystery God in the sky controlling everything is something that I shedded when I was about 14. But I had to keep it real in terms of Jamaica because Jamaica, they're dealing with religion, you know what I'm saying? They're dealing with Christianity. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, you know what I mean? I just wanted to keep it real so that when Jamaicans see it, they're like, damn, that was real. You know what I mean? Most Jamaican audiences I've been in front of that watch the movie, they straight talked throughout the whole movie. And I was wondering if they liked it or not, you know what I'm saying? Because if they didn't like it, they rained hell on me, for real. But I got shown love by a lot of Caribbean audiences with this film, so I'm grateful for it.
Is there another question up there? Go for it.
Yeah, I just, I wanted to compliment you on the weight of the film. It's very rarely that we're given the opportunity to feel the weight of a visual experience. Also, your movement away from an intellectual process, like an intellectual film, to a spiritual film for an experiential film was freaking amazing. And what's going on with China and Jamaica?
Thank you, man. There's always been Chinese people in Jamaica, you know what I'm saying? But now it's like a serious influx of Chinese people coming into Jamaica. And I just wanted to capture that sentiment, you know what I'm saying? Because I've never seen it depicted in a film, or I never really hear about it unless I'm in Jamaica. So I knew the film was going to go out to the world, so I really wanted to capture, especially the Maroons and some of the Rastas talking about that, you know what I'm saying? Even though I knew certain people who were in my corner when I was making the film, they say, yo, you're going to edit that out, right? You're not going to keep that in the final project, but I knew it had to be there, you know what I'm saying? Because it represents the whole film, which is on that edge, you know what I'm saying, but still sincere, you know. But, you know, China almost in a way recolonized Jamaica right now, you know what I mean? Because Jamaica, you know, and one of the reasons why I kept the prostitution in it as much as I did in the film is because that's a metaphor for the island. You know, it's been raped through colonialism. As an island, the country has been raped, you know what I'm saying, just through colonialism. And since then, it's become a service economy, you know, where all of the finances are based off of tourism. So in that way, it's selling itself out like a prostitute in a way, you know what I'm saying? But the major form of economics, which is tourism, is now being controlled by the Chinese people who bought up most of the hotel chains, you know what I mean? And the toll roads, the highways, you know what I'm saying? A lot of the building and the positive stuff that has came into Jamaica recently is because the Chinese people have financed it and brought it in. But Jamaica is a country where majority of people are dark-skinned black people. And since, you know, getting their independence, you know, in the late 60s, they haven't really gained power as far as the majority of the dark-skinned black people that are Jamaican. You know what I'm saying? You always see, you know, Michael Manley or light-skinned Jamaicans basically who the colonists left in power to control it. So there's a lot of, you know, racial friction in Jamaica, not just with Chinese people, but I just wanted to include that because even amongst black people, there's racial friction amongst the different complexions. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous, really, but I just felt like, yo, put it all out there. You know, put it all out there because, again, I never seen a film that was talking about the reality. It's just a lot of dance hall and marijuana and those tropes, you know, basically those basic tropes, you know, that people hear about, Rastafarianism, marijuana, and reggae. So this was supposed to be the antithesis of that.
It's just about reflecting reality, really. Do we have any other questions? I think we have one here.
Yeah. Hi.
Water. Get him next. He had his hand up for a minute.
Water seemed to be a consistent motif or visual included in the film. I was wondering what water meant to you and if over that time that meaning changed.
Thank you. Yeah, water is the whole thread that runs throughout the whole film. You know what I'm saying? To me, the water is the perfect symbol of Earth, you know, of the life and of the mother itself, you know. So it's also like the water was kicked up a lot during the funeral going into the birth, you know what I'm saying? And it's because, you know, water goes through those stages of, you know, gas, liquid, and solid. And it's the same thing for us. We think we die, but we just transition. You know what I'm saying? You may go from a solid state, like this physical form, to just a purely gaseous state. But it's not that you ended. You still continue just in a different form like water. So water was a metaphor. Obviously, the obvious metaphors of a woman breaking her water during birth, you know, and just life in general. Like, the film is showing how the black woman specifically also has been downgraded. You know, and that's a symbol of the earth, how the earth itself has been raped and, you know, global warming and all of that. So water, it just came natural. Again, like my man's question up there, like his comment, none of this was overly thought. It was more felt. It was like even the choices in the editing room, it was like what I felt. You know, it was totally free. Like as far as like what piece of video I put with the audio and how I formed an association by putting these things together, you know. It was a freestyle, you know, but the water represents that too, just that fluidity and that freedom, you know.
I think we have time for one more. Mic down here.
First and foremost, thank you for the film and thank you for having us. You make mention that it was freestyle. Verbatim, Black Mother. That's how I started off, and I noticed that there was a high level of engagement with the female populace within the movie. As the film progressed, it seemed like the nation of Jamaica was personified, and that a lot of maternal characteristics were drawn up. So going back to the fact that it was freestyle, was that organic, or was that something that kind of was premeditated?
Definitely. My process is shooting and then studying my material, right? Like, I shot so much audio. I had 6 hours of audio, and I would put it onto a flash drive and put it into the USB in my car and just drive around. If I had to go on a trip to like Massachusetts or, you know, a 4-hour, 5-hour trip somewhere, I would just listen to it, you know, and I'd say, damn, how am I gonna cut 6 hours into a 77-minute film? Because it was all this loose stuff, you know? So I would start taking notes on the audio, and I also had video I shot, so I would start taking notes on the video too. And, you know, then I would say, okay, I got this piece of audio, let me go back and get this shot. You know, like my man with the big tumor on the back of his neck, you know, I just had the video, and I was editing the film, and I said, yo, what can I put here, you know, audio-wise? And I said, I got to go back and film him. You know, his name is Arnold Delroy. I learned that when I went back. And he was in a maroon town, a maroon village. So I'm just trying to like illustrate my process, how I'll shoot some stuff, take notes, and go back. You know, like the film would have been totally different had Fourth Disciple had a different reaction maybe when I told him that I wanted that shot. He may have been like, nah, Lord, you don't need that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I would have filmed something different to end it. I don't know. But I give myself that freedom, you know, and shout out Cinereach who funded the project, because never one time did they say, yo, we need you to make it this way or chop that out or do this. They really respected my vision as an artist and just wanted to like, you know, help me in whatever way, you know. So yeah, it's mostly a freestyle, but then because I worked on it over 3 years, I was able to study my material, you know, and then I would say, okay, this goes here like this. It was like Tetris. You know what I mean? Just fitting pieces together wherever they fit, wherever I thought that they fit, you know? For me, I don't like to watch a film and see somebody talking while they're looking at you, because the brain, rather the mind, is able to process so much information. You know what I mean? For me, it's better that you hear something and see something else and form an association between what you're seeing and hearing, because that invites the audience to participate differently with the film. You know what I mean? This is like writing. This is like a novel, you know what I'm saying, where you depend on your imagination to put the pictures to the words. Even though you got the visual, you got the break between the audio and video, except for that twice on my grandparents. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you remember during the funeral, it syncs up on my grandfather, like basically addressing the crowd. You know what I'm saying? So even my rules, the rules that I set up for myself, I was trying to break those rules, you know, because my filmmaking is like hip hop. Like, you know, hip hop, they took a turntable and did something you're not supposed to do to it, you know what I'm saying, and just scratched the record on it, you know what I'm saying? So I always try to learn what the rules are, and then how can I flip them? How can I break them, you know?
I think we're going to wrap up there. Thank you so much, Khalik, for coming and sharing your film with us. This has been amazing.